of the event, Mr. Arnaud de Bresson, CEO of Paris EUROPLACE. Please, I leave you the floor.
Thank you so much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pepper, the robot, which has been created by my friend Sam, the CEO of a young company in France, Magic Lab, which has a partnership with SoftBank in Japan, our friend Masayoshi Son, and who is inventor, the founder of the software program for Pepper. So just to welcome for 1 minute our friend Sam before opening the session.
Arnaud.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Sam. I'm the founder of Magic Lab. We help companies embrace innovation by combining trick, tech, and talk. Magic, technology, and storytelling. Rather than a long speech, I would like you to experiment the future. Are you ready for that? So I will ask my friend Pepper to surprise, captivate, and inspire you. Please, Pepper.
Hello. Think about a number between 0 and 9.
So Arnaud, you have to think about a number between 0 and 9 in your head only. Don't tell to anybody. Listen to Pepper, please.
Look at me in the eyes.
Pepper.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Pepper,
Hey there.
could you please write the number?
I found it. It was
Wow.
easy.
Arnaud, don't tell to. Can you tell me please now the number you have in mind? 4. If it will be 4, will it be crazy? Yes. It's 4. Thank you for that. If you want to know more about what we do at Magic Lab, combining trick and tech, I invite you to meet us at the entrance to our booth. Thank you, Arnaud. Thank you to everybody.
That's an illustration of what we will see during these 2 days. Paris, the financial center of the future in Europe. This is our objective. This is the goal of the Paris Financial Center, to be the financial center of the future in the world. And we have many young start-upers like Sam who are participating to technology on a world level. But now I would like to welcome Gérard Mestrallet, chairman of Suez, chairman of Paris EUROPLACE, to give the introduction. Thank you once again, Gérard, to be with us.
Thank you, Arnaud. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to have you all this morning. Thank you for having accepted our invitation to participate to our annual International Financial Forum in Paris. I would like also to warmly welcome all our eminent speakers, and more particularly for our lunch, Bruno Le Maire, the French Minister of Economy and Finance, and this morning, François Villeroy de Galhau, Governor of Banque de France, as well as all the representatives of international banks and investment funds, and representative of European institutions, who kindly accepted to take part of our discussions. So this year's forum marks the 25th anniversary of Paris EUROPLACE. But be reassured, I will not detail the history of the Paris Financial Center over this past quarter of a century. Rather, I propose to focus on the main developments which occurred since our forum 2 years ago, because those last 2 years have been very dense. Indeed, over a short period of time, major changes have happened in the world, and in particular in Europe and in France, with a new president implementing structural reforms and the Brexit process pursuing its rambling course. And I am pleased to report that since the election of Emmanuel Macron as president, France has kept its word. What has been said has been done. Furthermore, last January, the government made new announcements on key topics for international investors. And last month, Bruno Le Maire presented an action plan for the growth and transformation of companies, the so-called PACT project. As a result of this new momentum, large international companies have announced that they choose in favor of Paris in the context of Brexit. And it is expected that as uncertainty around the Brexit negotiations prevails, further announcements will be made in the summer or this autumn. But beyond Brexit, the project of the Paris Financial Center is ambitious and long-term. We are indeed committed to a strategic project to position ourselves as the financial center of the future in Europe. First, at European level, foreign investment is accelerating. In this disruptive world, Europe presents both the advantages of a zone of economic growth resumption and improved stability. And foreign investment in the region continues to increase. The growth positions of international investment in Europe have never been so high. And it can be noted that insurance and asset management companies have replaced banks for these international investments. This is quite positive, as it consolidates the financial ecosystem which Europe needs. More particularly concerning France, a study published in June by EY places Paris ahead of London as the most attractive European city for business to invest in. More than 1,000 projects to build or expand business infrastructures were put in place in France in 2017, which marked a 31% increase on the previous year, following a 30% increase in 2016. The Paris Financial Center has the best offer for international investors and banks in the context of Brexit. That's what we think. The uncertainty on the outcome of the Brexit negotiations prevails, and financial companies have to consider the scenario of a hard Brexit with the loss of the European passport. Today, the Paris Financial Center offers several key assets for international investors that wish to develop their activities in Europe. First, Paris is the only global city in the post-Brexit EU on a par with London. It relies on the seventh global economy, and its geographical location is quite unique at the heart of Europe. Two, Paris is already today the leading financial center in the EU 27, ranking ahead of Frankfurt. Its main strengths are the presence of large corporations, large French big corporations, a pole position for activities in equity markets, bond markets, and good positions in derivative markets. We have 5 French banks in the EU top 10. The leader for collective asset management in the post-Brexit EU, a market leader for insurance, and finally also a regulation which is recognized at international level. 3, Paris is the European leader in high-tech and green and sustainable finance. It is a leader in continental Europe for fintech, with 750 fintech companies and a steep growth in this field. It is particularly strong in the sectors of big data, risk management, new payment systems, exchange platforms, crowdfunding, and sustainable economy. A complete ecosystem has developed in Paris, with a large number of incubators, the strong presence of venture capital investors, new solutions to support the development of startups, in particular with the Pôle Finance Innovation and the Louis Bachelier Institute, which support research with 50 academic chairs in finance. In the field of environmental finance, and in particular green bond issues, the Paris Financial Center ranks third at the world level, behind China and the US, but first in Europe. As you know, Paris EUROPLACE has launched the Finance for Tomorrow initiative to boost the green finance in Paris, and will organize every year the Climate Finance Day in Paris. The first one had been organized in 2015, just before the COP21 in Paris. It had been a tremendous success, and now we decided to organize every year one Climate Finance Day in Paris. Paris EUROPLACE also support the position of the French Banking Federation relating to the green supportive factor aimed at providing environmentally friendly investments with lighter prudential constraints. For the Paris Financial Center benefits from a more favorable regulatory and fiscal environment. Indeed, after some first announcements made by our former Prime Minister Manuel Valls in 2016, the pursuit of structural reforms since the election of Emmanuel Macron last year has already contributed to changing how France is perceived at international level. First, the labor law reforms aim at improving the flexibility of the labor market in France. Secondly, the fiscal reforms and the cost of labor. I will simply recall here the acceleration of the downward trajectory of the corporate tax reduction to 25% by 2020, the removal of the wealth tax for investors in financial assets, the creation of a flat tax of 30% on dividend interest and capital gains as soon as 2018, and the removal of the top marginal band of the payroll tax. Thirdly, the new announcements made by Prime Minister Edouard Philippe in Versailles in January confirm the continuation of this approach, and I will quote only a few measures: the further improvement of the impatriates regime through a temporary exemption of pension expenses for companies concerning their impatriate executives. Secondly, the creation of the International Chamber of the Paris Court of Appeal, which allows the use of the English language, and the expansion of the international schooling offer with the creation of new international high schools. As a consequence, the relocation flows now place Paris in pole position in Europe in terms of number of jobs relocated, even if we know that the race is not finished and will be long. I will mention HSBC, in the banking sector, the 4 French banks, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Standard Chartered, Wells Fargo. As you may know also, the European Banking Authority will also move from London to Paris. In the asset management, Schroeder, and recently this week, BlackRock, and in the field of insurance, Chubb. So a total of 3,500 direct jobs are relocated in Paris, significantly more than the number of jobs relocated to other European financial centers. And this number of direct jobs represents also around 20,000 indirect jobs. So this is a good start, but as I said, the race is not finished. More globally, the Paris Financial Center is committed to an industrial strategy, aiming at positioning itself as the financial center of the future in Europe. As a conclusion, I would like to mention that after 15 years, I will hand over to Augustin de Romanet, who will be present here during the lunch. We will take over as a new chairman of Paris EUROPLACE just after this forum on the 14th of July. I would like to give him a warm welcome. As you know, as a chairman and CEO of the group Aéroports de Paris, ADP, Augustin de Romanet is already involved in the action to develop infrastructures and promote the position of the Paris Financial Center in Europe and in the world. I'm sure he will, with strength and conviction, continue and amplify our effort to consolidate Paris as the leading marketplace in the post-Brexit EU. And before I leave the floor to the governor, I would like to float a last idea, like a message in a bottle at sea. As you may recall, prior to COP21 in Paris, we organized the Climate Finance Day, which led to the commitments of the financial sector to climate and environmental issues. In the same way, Paris will organize the Olympic Games. And considering the fact that President Macron, the government, and the Paris mayor will team the Olympic Games 2024 on social inclusion, we should organize, that's my idea, in Paris, before the Olympic Games, a social finance day. And because indeed, globalization will be inclusive or will not be. And this could be a great opportunity for the Paris Financial Center, once more, to promote a sustainable world. And as I am, by the way, also chairman of a foundation, FAS, which gathers 6,000 companies and fights against all forms of exclusion, I am prepared to work jointly with Paris EUROPLACE on materializing this idea. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you very stimulating debates. And now I leave the floor to François Villeroy-de-Gahaut, Governor of Banque de France. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gérard. I would like to once again applaud Gérard Mestrallet for having been the chairman of EUROPLACE during 15 years. And I believe and think that we have made a good job together. So thank you so much, Gérard. And this is not the beginning of the end. It is just the end of the beginning. And we will work together with Gérard to organize this social finance day in the coming months.